Hey everyone, Zion over here from Nintendo Life, and recently I had the pleasure of getting to fly out to Los Angeles, California. I went all the way down to Hollywood, and I walked straight into Universal, and I said, "Show me where Mario is. Show me right now." And I guess it wasn't that aggressive. I went to Super Nintendo World very recently. They invited me down for a media day, and I got to explore the park and play most of the stuff and see some of the things, and I used the power band, and I had a pretty genuinely good time. But I have lots I want to say about it, but I thought it'd be fun to have somebody sort of ask me about it that hasn't been to the park yet. And that's not a dig. Not many people have been to the park yet. So I'm also joined by the fantastic Alex Olney.
And how does that make you feel?
To have been to the park? Or that you...
Just generally. Just generally. How are you? How are you feeling?
I am very tired, but I think part of that is due to having spent a lot of time in the park, but also just my own negligence of probably staying up too late. Last night I was playing Super Mario 64 when I could have been sleeping, and I can blame that on the park, but I'm good. How are you?
I'm tired as well because I didn't sleep very well, but it's nothing to do with Super Nintendo World, so no lawsuits today for them. They'll
Good.
be pleased to hear.
You weren't rolling around in your sleep thinking, Xeon, Super Nintendo World.
Oh, I was there shaking my fists in rage. So, I'd really like to hear more about it. Obviously, they call it Super Nintendo World, but let's be honest, it's Mario, at the moment. Yeah, I know Miyamoto said that they've considered other franchises, but they decided that Mario's the biggest one, and they're not wrong, I don't feel. And they couldn't call it Super Mario World because that's a game. And they couldn't call it Nintendo Land because that's a game.
It is. I was so bummed. I saw Rocco from Mega 64. He went during one of the really opening, the season pass holder, they did a test run or something before the grand opening, and he went and dressed up in Xbox clothing and had a copy of Halo and stood in front of Peach's Castle. You'd have been so proud, Alex. But I wanted to do that with Nintendo Land. I don't know, just hold Nintendo Land in the park, but I forgot it at home.
Oh.
But you're right. The park it's Super Nintendo World, and it's all themed around Mario IP right now. So it's tough because I have things I want to say about the park, but I want to make sure I don't spoil the experience. So I'm gonna try to skirt around things a bit. But basically, when you get to the park, there are a few different areas and different elements from the Mario series that have been kind of injected into this place. So there's a massive warp pipe with tons of different colors. There's a room that kind of looks like it's the inside of Peach's Castle, and there's 2 different paintings in there from Super Mario 64.
I saw your short.
Yeah, I did that thing 3 times where I just pretended to be running and jumping into the painting, and I was so nervous that one of the staff, which are all dressed up like Mario, by the way, they all have red hats and red and blue clothing. I think they have overalls too, and but I was so nervous someone was gonna come and be like, "Sir, what are you doing?"
Does that include security staff? Because I've got this image now, and this may be very misguided, non-American, but I've just got this image of security guards with guns dressed as Mario, or better yet, Waluigi or something, or Shadow the Hedgehog.
Well, thankfully, I didn't see anyone with guns standing around.
Well, that can only be a good thing.
True, yeah. So we didn't get the gun thing, but I don't honestly remember if there were just normal security walking around either. I bet there are because
they might be hidden. They may be plain clothes.
True.
Or just wearing Mario and not carrying guns.
Oh,
it's possible.
Maybe they're equipped with fire flowers, and hopefully we never find out.
One thing I really want to know, because obviously it's Super Nintendo World, it's a thing. What is the main attraction? I know there are rides. Are they the main thing, or are they kind of supplementary to it being more of a, I don't know, an experience? It sounds quite different to anything that we have in the UK.
Yeah.
We don't, we have theme parks, but it's a theme park. What's in it? Well, we've crammed it full of rides because land's expensive here. And so it's just everywhere you look, it's roller coasters, the other things as well. But the roller coasters are the most important thing. But what's it like there?
Park is in Universal Studios, and they have a bunch of different theme parks littered around. There's a Jurassic Park one. There's a Simpsons one, which I actually took photos of to send you.
What?
Yeah, buddy. Now you have more reason to get your butt out here. And so there are other parks in Universal that you could kind of compare Super Nintendo World to. Super Nintendo World there's a Mario Kart ride that is kind of like this, like it's I think four people sit in a Mario Kart.
Just like the games.
Exactly, yeah. It's double dash, but like maybe it's quadruple dash. I don't know. So you get seated in these Mario Karts with multiple people, and I think the idea is you're supposed to sit with friends. I mean, you can sit with strangers too. It probably doesn't matter, but you're all on a team competing against Bowser. I think
Doug Bowser or just Bowser?
I think it's the Bowser, unless if Doug Bowser is also there and maybe there's opposing teams. That's the thing. I don't know, because well,
he was there when you were there, wasn't he? I just assumed he was there all the time.
True. I mean, he very well might have residence there now. I'm not sure. I mean, Universal's not small. I mean, it's not huge, but he could probably just one of the sound stages, just camp out for a while.
or maybe it's actually just an actor in a Doug Bowser costume. But it was so convincing that nobody thought to question the 2-foot head.
It could be. The Mario Kart ride, everybody else that I talked to loved it, but I was confused the whole time. Granted, I was also taking video with my camera, and I wasn't focusing a ton on that, but maybe that was just kind of distracting me from the ride itself. But I guess the kind of cool thing is before you get on the ride, you put on this Mario hat, and then once you actually sit down, you have this little like extra visor that that magnetically like attaches to the hat. And that has an AR filter screen, I guess, attached to it, that when you look around the environment, you see different images that aren't actually there. So you'll see other racers driving around. Like we got sprayed with a blooper at one point, and ink like went all over the screen, and so we couldn't see where we were driving. And you also have the item boxes. You can run into those while you're racing, and you do actually have to move the wheel and try to actually hit them. But I don't know if you're all like if your movements plus the movements of everybody else in your cart are all like kind of joined together, or if your movements really are separate. I don't really know. But then you do have buttons on the wheel as well that you'll get like red shells that you can shoot, and those you're supposed to shoot at your opponent, and you might be able to get like bonus items with them too. I'm not sure. But that I think is kind of the downfall that of the ride for me, was that when we went into the ride, the queue was absolutely beautiful. And I want to talk about that more after I get my feelings out about Mario Kart. But I just didn't know what I was doing because nobody actually explained anything before I got on the ride. And there actually is a room that you get kind of placed in before the ride happens. And there are like some screens on the wall that I think are trying to explain like, how the visor works and maybe how the game works. But in this room is also this really cool like display of all of these Nintendo like these me character costumes, and like Luigi's vacuum is on the floor from Luigi's Mansion, and Princess Peach's helmet is up there that you can like wear when you use her costume as a me. And so there's all these like really cool things in that room that were distracting me from the screens. So
blame it on the set dressing.
Honestly, I kind of think so, and I'm not mad at the distractions, but it was frustrating that I went into the ride not having a clue what in the heck I was doing, because then we lost, because turns out we were racing against Bowser, but I don't know if Bowser was a team full of other human characters, or if everybody that was racing was against Bowser. Because that's the thing, is when we were racing, I was shooting the red shells that we would pick up against anyone, because when you get a red shell, you'd pick up them in batches of 10 or 20, I think it was.
Good
so
Lord.
You could just fire them like crazy. It's like a rail shooter is what it feels like in the end. But I was firing them at Wario, at like Yoshi, and I just thought I had hit everyone,
Find out you were supposed to protect those people.
Like me and my buddy Josh that went, the only way we figured that out in the end was because he didn't know that we were competing against Bowser until the end either. And we found there's actually like a painting on the wall before you get into that room that has all the screens, and it says Team Bowser versus Team Mario, I think is what it said. So we were kind of like putting things together, and maybe on opening day and after that, maybe people will talk, in the lines and stuff, but there were so few people in the park when we were there because it was media day that we didn't have that communal experience to talk with other people about what the ride was like.
Yeah.
So I think me sucking at Mario Kart was, I'm not great at the game, but I think I was in a weird situation, a unique situation, I guess. But
So, I'm sorry, does the car actually move, or is it kind of like those simulator pods from back in the day, if anyone ever remembers them?
so it is the kind of thing where it's on rails and it moves. It's not super fast, I don't think.
Oh, so a bit like a roller coaster, but
Yeah.
sort of docile.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Okay.
like your movements of the wheel, I think only turn the direction of your cart, but the whole time you're still going to be going in this along the same path. You can't hit a wall. It's not like bumper cars or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like an on rail situation where I think more or less your turning is more just kind of to set you in the sights of your opponents and then hit them with the shell. And honestly, yeah, if you're not wearing that visor thing that you're supposed to when you get on the ride either, you don't see any of that. But there are a lot of still really cool like elements built into the set beyond the 3D visuals. To fully answer your question, there's one other kind of ride thing where it's not really that, it wasn't that cool for me.
Only one other in the whole thing.
Yeah, so there's this little game it's like a Bowser Jr. themed game where Bowser Jr. apparently steals this
Super
gold.
Nintendo World plus Bowser's Jr.'s minions.
Honestly, I think I saw somebody on Twitter, they compared it to like this Nickelodeon game show thing. But there's a mini game where Bowser steals this gold star and you have to go back and get it from
The
him.
Fiend.
Pretty much. Little thief, always stealing stuff. But you have to go stand in front of this giant projector screen wall almost, I guess. It's massive. And there's 8 people that can play this game at the same time. A silhouette of your body is then shown on the screen, and you can flail your arms around to hit enemies. You can get power-ups. You can get like a fireball, and it allows you to just by like throwing your arm out, you can throw fireballs, which is kind of fun and cute. And if you jump,
Right. So it's Super Mario Brothers Kinect.
it honestly it does feel like that, and maybe
It may actually be using Kinect technology. A lot of universities and things like that, engineering stuff, they use them because they are useful in those applications.
Interesting.
Not necessarily in the home.
It does feel like Kinect, but kind of, I don't want to say done right. It was a very cute application. If you jumped as well, like your character would jump to the ceiling, and it was a really tall room. Of course, you didn't jump that high. Your character could do that to hit like question blocks, and that's how you get a fire flower. And I think something like this I think it would be a lot more fun to kids. Really dropping that mental barrier of like thinking that you're there, you're the one jumping that high, you're the one throwing the fireballs. I think it felt a little too, it was cute at the end of the day. But I think kids will really, really love it. The setup for it was cool. There's this like big door that opens up and you walk through and see this giant like lava wall, I think it was. And I think the thing I'm trying to get at here with this is when I went to Disneyland last year in California, and that was my first time ever being to any kind of big theme park like that. And there's some rides, like one of the Star Wars rides blew my mind. Like it melted my brain cells because it was just so incredible. The Indiana Jones ride I wanted to do again. Jungle Cruise was a ton of fun, but I don't think these rides are necessarily anything that people should be, rushing to go do. But everything else around it, Alex, is what made the park so darn special.
Well, this was going to be my follow-on because with, not wishing to be too judgmental, but when I think theme parks, with my experience, I think of rides. It's all about the rides. That's what they are for.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that there are only 2 rides, yeah, I'm curious to know what else there is because I'm just curious. Is it more like a sort of a Madame Tussauds thing where it's just like being there is fun?
Honestly, yeah.
Why did I use Madame Tussauds as the example?
Hey, it's because our brains are massive wells of random things, and sometimes you put the bucket down in the well, and you're like, Madame Tussauds. Okay,
it's full of wax.
Yeah, oh no, gross. Thankfully, Super Nintendo World wasn't full of wax, but it was full of a lot of really cute little details and fun opportunities. So I was kind of already telling you a bit of this before we even started the recording here. When I went to Disneyland, I didn't really fall into any of the environments. I loved Star Wars as a kid. I had a Obi-Wan Kenobi braid when Star Wars Episode 1 came out.
Yuck.
I know it's long gone now.
A rat tail, I think it was affectionately called.
Yeah. So when you get to the park, you'll start realizing that there are all these different elements that are connected to the power band. And if you haven't already heard, which you probably already have.
Oh yeah, it's the same as in the Japanese one, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe it's the same idea and similar app and everything. But you can buy this power band. Also, funny enough, can function as an amiibo. But there's different ones for like Princess Peach, Daisy, Yoshi, and I think they're all kind of mostly just cosmetically, and then they show you kind of what team you're associated with when you connect it to the app. But then you can go around the park, and there are question blocks that you can punch, and you can earn coins. You can find secret little things that, like at one point I found a treasure chest that had a little glowing spot on it, and I put my wrist up to it, and a sound effect played, and you could see like glowing lights kind of lit up on the treasure chest. And there are all these different things that you can interact with the wristbands, or with the power bands. One of which is, in order to get into that Bowser Jr. game that I was talking about, where you're basically playing Connect at the park, you actually have to do these 3 different mini games and get these get these keys. And then once you get the keys, then you're granted access to go into the Bowser Jr. area. But the problem for me was I didn't really realize that I should have activated this. We got given power bands right when we walked in, which was very nice, because these wristbands, they're $40 a piece, Alex.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, I was going to ask you about price later on, but
yeah,
because that's a barrier to entry. If there are only 2 rides and the power band is a big part of everything else, I mean, how much does it cost to get in, or is it like included with a universal all breakfast pass or something?
So not really that I saw. I did hear that the bands are cheaper in Japan as well, which I haven't done any research on that. That's just what I heard through the grapevine. So I believe it costs anywhere, the price scales. If you go to the gate to just get in, like, you don't have a ticket or anything, it's $154, which I believe is pretty comparable to Disney now from the research I did. But you can do a 2-day pass for $10 more, and then you just have to spend that second day pass within a 7-day period, which is nice, so you don't have to go 2 days back to back. But then if you buy a ticket online, tickets start at $109. That's what they advertise. But I checked throughout the rest of the year, like, they kind of they adjust the price based on how many tickets I'm assuming they've sold during that time period, and they go all the way up to then $150. So a ticket ranges. And think of it, of course, if you're somebody with a family and you want to take 2 or 3 kids down there, I honestly think you should not experience this park without the power band, and that sucks a lot to say, because it is, if you have 2 kids, that's you plus your family. I could see this very easily turning into like a $500 or $1,000 visit just for one day.
Yeah,
it's a lot to put down. And yeah, it's a bummer. And of course, we got it let in for media day. They didn't charge us anything to come in and explore the park, and we got the power band for free. I fully understand we got given that very graciously by them, but I feel for the families and the individuals that don't have the dollars to spend on top of the park. And it is really cool finding the little secrets in the park are the fun of it. Just being there, standing underneath these giant mushrooms, taking a break on one, looking up at Peach's castle, getting a cool photo that you'll remember forever. Like I took some photos with my partner when we went to Disneyland in front of the Disney castle. But, the pictures that I took in front of Peach's castle I don't want to say mean more to me, because my partner wasn't there with me for them, but I think they're more memorable. In a sense, so I think,
well, you're more into Nintendo than you are Disney, from what you've told me.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think the cost, what you'll get out of it really depends on what you enjoy here as a person. But there are so many little things to find in the park. I didn't actually end up messing with the Universal Studios app until I got home, which I highly recommend. Anybody that goes, you should download that app first, because then once you have an account and everything set up on there, which is totally free, you just scan a QR code on the back of the power band, and that links the power band to the app, and that shows you whenever you collect coins in the park, whenever you find a secret, like that treasure chest that I was telling you that I found, that actually unlocked a stamp in the app, which kind of functions like an achievement. And when I was a kid, there was this park in Wisconsin called Wizard Quest. And it was this really cool kind of interactive space where there were no rides or anything, but it was just this really beautiful kind of park to explore. And it was this fantasy world with fairies, and there was a lava pit that was just a ball pit, but you could crawl through it to find this wizard. And honestly, Super Nintendo World reminds me a lot of that, where if I go again, I might play Mario Kart again just to like experience it and try to do better. I might do the Bowser Jr. thing if there's like a short line. But if the day that I go back to Super Nintendo World, I'm going to be hunting for the achievements, the stamps, and trying to collect more coins. Because then there's a daily leaderboard that you can get put on as well for the person that collects the most coins. And it just, I think it gets you to explore the environment more. And that was the thing that I had the most fun with, was just there are Pikmin hiding in the park. There are...
Oh, so it's not all just Mario then.
In Japan, in the Japanese park, there's a Yoshi ride, I was told. And they didn't have enough space to fit that here at the park in Hollywood. But they still managed to incorporate some really cool Yoshi elements into the queue for the Mario Kart ride. And I'm not going to spoil that for anyone here, because that, like, seeing that for the first time without knowing it was there, like, I was basically screaming. Like, and I'm not, I was not expecting to do that at all going into this place. But, like, feeling like I was in the world of Yoshi Island on Super Nintendo was pretty cool. The cost really sucks. I really hope they find a way to make those.
Yeah, I still can't stomach that price. I'm gonna be brutally honest. Like, it's, don't get me wrong, it sounds like fun, and the power-up band definitely seems to be. I mean, if anything, that makes it worse. It's, sort of, hey, come to the park. It's over $100 to get in, and can I just clarify that $100 odd it costs to get in? That's just for Super Nintendo World. It doesn't get you into Universal.
I'm so glad you asked, because that is a all-encompassing park pass. You can go do all of the things.
That's more manageable then. I was thinking, I couldn't justify spending that, because for one person maybe, but yeah, as soon as you get more than one person, it's sounding like, I'm still kind of angry about the power band.
I don't blame you.
I think that should be included in the price, even if in theory they increase the price as a result. I think it would be far more, sort of, if you say I'm going to Super Nintendo World, it's like, aha, well, you'll want the power-up band then, and it makes it very clear that you get the most out of the park if you do this. But even then, just include it. It. I mean, I imagine the guts of it aren't exactly expensive, and it's it's microtransactions in real life.
One thing they could do, now that we're talking about it too, is that they could almost do like a special deal where you buy a pass for the park, and then you pay an extra $20 right up front. And then maybe you get given like a QR code that you then take to one of the Super Nintendo stores in the park, and then you get given a band at a discount instead. Because I think that high price point hopefully should deter people from like trying to buy them all like in one go and getting people to scalp them. Because they function as amiibo outside the park, but otherwise they don't really have like a great use, and they have a tendency to like fall off too. Like, actually, before you do the Bowser Jr., the Kinect-ish style game, the people in the park actually recommended that you take your wristband off because they didn't want it to go flying. And I was told by somebody else that you could go get like a clip that would help keep the bracelet on your wrist.
Oh my God, don't tell me they charge you for that.
I think it's free, but I forgot to do it, so I'm not 100%. But anybody who's been can let us know down below too.
So it's expensive. I mean, I know, sort of the ticket gets you in, and it gets you into Universal and everything as well, that is easier to swallow. I mean, the fact that it's like, hey, you get a 2-day pass and, it's only $10 extra means, why don't you stay in our hotel? I'm sure, but, yeah. But how big is the park? Just not the whole Universal thing, but the Super Nintendo World. How big is the Super Nintendo world?
Sure. It
I don't know why I used that voice.
I like it though. It's just adding a little character. So the funny thing is I walked around it a lot, trying to get lots of photos, get some B-roll, just explore things. And I thought I had seen everything. I was in there for, let's see, I did a couple of interviews for about an hour with the chef of the restaurant.
Were all the foods mushroom-based?
A lot of them had mushroom elements. So like I, for example, didn't see a lot of vegetarian options. Like they had a burger. I was hoping they'd have a veggie burger. And I didn't even ask. I should have in hindsight. But I ended up getting a tomato soup, and in the middle of the soup was a mushroom. It was just
as in an actual mushroom, a real life mushroom.
Yep, just one sliced mushroom. Like you'd see on a pizza.
Oh, just one slice of mushroom.
Yeah. So it wasn't
Whoa,
overbearing.
They're breaking the bank on that one.
Well, I think, there was somebody that asked in one of the interviews that I was doing, they were like, they asked about, if they tried to be careful with mushrooms intentionally because they didn't, some people just hate them. And I guess that was a thing, was they wanted to just be careful with how many they used. But it did come in like a mushroom bowl that had a toadstool like top.
That's pretty cute.
Yeah, it was cute. The drink though, there was this like, I don't know, it wasn't lemon necessarily, but it had boba in it and it reminded me a bit of Sprite. So I guess a bit lemony. It was a yellow drink. Highly recommend. If you go to the cafe, you have to try the drink. It was very good.
Well, I know this isn't entirely relevant, but I'm genuinely curious. Was it more of a sort of a cream of tomato soup, or was it more of a thin, sort of actual tomato soup as opposed to the sort of overly processed creamy stuff you get in a can?
It was good. It didn't taste like I had just, gone to the store myself and gotten something. But I will say, my partner makes tomato soup all the time. We'll do grilled cheese at home, and hers is fantastic. So eating that soup there,
high bar.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was good, but it didn't leave me like, it did leave me wanting bread and carbs and a grilled cheese, but and they didn't have any bread on the menu. Like, well, I mean, they had a burger and they had, but there was no side of bread. I hope they do that someday.
They might have got you some if you asked.
That's a good point.
I mean, if I got soup and I didn't get some bread with it, I'd be really annoyed, because soup by itself is a drink, my friend. I need something else either in there, like potato or something, or chunky vegetables or meat. Yeah, but obviously that wouldn't fly with yourself.
Sure.
But I would always expect some bread on the side, unless, as I say, it was like really, chunky potato soup, in which case you don't need the bread, although I'd still like some.
I'm glad that you feel that way too, because then hopefully somebody from Universal hears this. Maybe the person who was helping Chef Toad create the menu, Julia.
Hello, I'm Julia.
I caught her at the end of the day, and I was like, "Hey, off the record, what are the chances that we're gonna get a grilled cheese on this menu with this soup?"
Can I just voice my regret for doing that horrible impression?
Oh no, come on! I mean, if I did it, it would have been awful. So no.
I mean, my throat hurts now.
Oh,
so
no.
Okay, if I don't regret it, I at least rue and lament it.
But to answer your question, or to answer your earlier question about the size, I walked around the park. I felt like I explored everything. But then when I left the park and was exploring some more videos online and pictures, it turns out there was a lot more that I didn't see. Like there's a what do you call it? A set of not binoculars, but there's like a thing on a pole that you can look through, and you can look around the park and see.
What, a telescope?
Is that when you put quarters in one at a park, like, and you can see far away?
Does it have one eyepiece or two?
Just one big one that both eyes go in.
What? That's
I guess. Oh, they have these. They have these in Mario actually as well, like in.
Oh yeah, I'd still call them like telescope or binoculars or something. I don't think it's important.
Okay, well, so they had one of those, and apparently it was it was also using AR technology, so you could kind of look around the park and discover different things. But before you would use it, you would actually scan your power band. And if you discovered certain things with it, you could also get more stamps in the app.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's like these different hidden rooms that have, I found one room at one point where there was just a little glowing circle on the wall. If you put your power band up to it, like an 8-bit picture of Bowser appeared on the wall, kind of like you would see in like Mario Odyssey or something like that. And so, the park was, I could see it getting really, really crowded with a lot of people there. But I think it still did a really good job of feeling big. so it's hard for me to say like how big it necessarily was, but I was there for like 5 hours and didn't see it all. And there's also a store right on site, and there are stores outside of the Nintendo World Park as well that you can go find things in. But the store in the park itself does have some exclusive stuff that you can't find in the other stores too. But
should have paid the extra $10. Shouldn't gone there for 2 days.
Honestly,
Stayed at the Orlando Universal Hotello.
I think if I were to go myself, I would definitely do the 2-day thing, because I think I would want a full day in. If I was telling a friend to go, which is what I feel like I'm doing right now, I would tell you to try to go for 2 days. Go see as much as you can in Super Nintendo World. Go do the other things. And then if you didn't get enough, like if you went back to your hotel or Airbnb and you have regrets, then you have that second day to go back to Super Nintendo World and see the other things that you missed. Because the cool thing too is I didn't use the app at all when I was in the park. And that's kind of, I think, what made me realize that I missed things. But I think it was kind of fun that way, was then I was discovering things naturally because if you're using the app, it kind of gives you hints and clues of how to get the stamps.
Kind of points you in the direction.
Absolutely, you're totally right. And
I think you had the right idea. I can understand the use of the app, but I don't want a guidebook. I want to explore Talon 4 myself.
Oh man, and I hope you get to.
Oh, can you imagine Metroid? Oh yeah, Super Metroid
Dude,
World.
Metroid is having such a resurgence right now that I hope Nintendo believes in it again. I hope they do.
Oh, full body, like, costumed Samus. Oh, terrifying.
Speaking of full body costumes that were slightly terrifying, they had Mario, Luigi, and Peach at the park as well. People dressed up like you'd find like Toy Story characters at a park. And they had like real cosplay style hair that was like fit perfectly for them, but they had plastic faces.
Oh!
Yeah, they were done very well. I'll show some photos, maybe some video. I liked it. But my problem. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I have a bit of a, I don't want to, it's not really a phobia, but I get very unsettled when people like wear full masks. I just don't like it. I'm guessing some sort of childhood experience or something I had. But like being forced to interact with somebody in a full suit, like not like a business suit, you understand?
Sure.
But go up. It's that character. Why don't you go and say hello to them? And I was just like, no, I don't want to, and forced to do it anyway. Yeah. No, either way, I don't do well with that. Actually. The Mario and Luigi that go around EGX, which are like full like plush costumes, I can deal with them because they move so slowly and they're clearly like actually blind.
Oh sure, yeah.
So as in they can't, the people inside can't see, or if they do, they have very limited vision through the costume, which makes them far less threatening. Sorry, we've turned this into my therapy session.
No, that's okay. It's maybe hopefully some people that were listening learned something from this, and maybe they worked their way through something. Maybe they realized some childhood trauma that they didn't know they had until now either.
I have claustrophobia as well.
Oh no!
There you go.
Mario and Luigi both kind of got like shuffled through the park, and I got a few photos of them, but I didn't hear them talk or anything. But Peach has like her own specific section underneath this little like gazebo, I guess, where you can go and take photos with her there, and she'll talk to you, but it sounds like she's talking with a soundboard.
Yeah.
I do know I figured it out, me and my friend, we figured it out while we were there of how it all works, and I'm not going to break the magic for everybody listening, but I do kind of wish that the person inside the suit was, it's not that I wish they used their own voice, but I actually just kind of wish that it wasn't somebody in a suit. And my reason is because I think, like if I had kids, right, and I took them there, and their dream was to meet Princess Peach because they wanted to, not because their parents forced them into it. I'm so sorry, Alex. And but it doesn't seem like the person in the outfit has the ability to ask the kid their name or say their name. Those experiences aren't as personal as you might get at something like Disney, where if you go meet, Rey from Star Wars or Mulan or and
see, you can't have your child go up to Princess Peach and go, "Hello, my name's Jimmy. What's your name?" "Dear Mario, please come to the castle. I have baked a cake for you."
Could you imagine? I will say that the voices that were coming out of the suit, they seemed to respond well to the people that were interacting or that were talking back, and it worked well enough. But I think it was just a little too formulaic for. I don't care, but I'm thinking about the kids that go there. The parents that spend all this money to fly all the way out to LA to take their kids there to meet these characters. I think it would be cool to see them do away with the masks someday and try out some Princess Peaches and Marios that are just real people that can have genuine expressions and can
actually interact with facial movements and stuff like that. I mean, I'm guessing the responses they have were very like broad and generic, like, "It's nice to meet you."
Absolutely. It was like, let's take a picture.
Like that sort of thing. Like, "It's nice to meet you, Benjamin."
Yeah, I never heard a name get uttered from the costume, so either that feature is still in beta or it's never going to happen. We're not sure.
They're just going to end up deep faking it, aren't they?
Oh, gosh. I could see some parents doing stuff like that, like taking a video and then like injecting audio over the top instead. And like, you don't remember? They said this to you. Yeah.
You don't remember?
But yeah, I want the costumes to be better.
But we've all... The question that's on everyone's mind, I know. What about Street Pass?
Everyone's mind? That's so nice to hear. So I did take my 3DS to Super Nintendo World. And like I mentioned, I went on Media Day where only, people with specific passes could get in, and the park was, fairly open, so there weren't a lot of people there. But I managed to street pass 2 different people. This guy Greg, that I've been chatting with him online for years. He managed to bring his 3DS, and we didn't even I didn't reach out to him to ask him to do that or anything. He just brought it. So I street passed him, and I street passed another guy that I didn't know.
Doug Bowser.
Oh, I wish. I did. I'm so glad you asked, because I did meet Doug Bowser at the park. He was there walking around, and I asked him. I pulled out my 3DS and was like, "Doug, did you bring your 3DS for Street Pass?" And he laughed. But so that was fun. But I did hear. I'll try to reference their tweet in the video here. But they tweeted at me and said they brought their 3DS on opening day, and I think they got 6 Street Pass tags. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, if you miss Street Pass, and you want, to try to get some Street Passes again, and you have a bag or a safe pocket to put it in, I would hate for someone to take their 3DS and have it fall out during a ride or something like that. So, be careful with it. But it seems like Super Nintendo World could be a decent place to get some Street Passes in comparison to everywhere else I've taken my 3DS so far. It was good. Just good results, I will say.
That's excellent to hear. I do apologize if you can hear something in the background.
No, not at all.
My cat's just jumped onto my lap and he's purring away.
Oh, how sweet.
He knocked the microphone at one point as well, so you may have to edit that out. He's saying, "Dad, can you take me to Super Nintendo World?" He would not want to go there. He hates leaving the house.
Yeah, even if he had one of those backpacks with the clear.
Oh, I've been tempted a few times, but I don't know whether he would actually deal with it. Let's just say that when the doorbell rings, he runs and hides.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Unless it's us. If he knows it's us. I mean, we don't ring the doorbell, to be fair.
Oh, sure.
Who rings the doorbell to get into their own house?
Speaking of cats, I didn't see any Super Mario 3D World cats littered around the park anywhere. That would have been cool, but I could have...
Littered.
Oh, no. That was an accident.
Oh.
But I could see how that could work.
Did give you pause for thought?
Sure. Oh, gosh. Thank you for the pause.
Did you have to sign anything before entering because it was a media day? Did you have to make sure that you read all the sub clauses?
No, honestly, maybe if they would have given me some documents, then I would have understood Mario Kart a bit better. But no, there were no. Wait, did you just do that so you could say clauses with cat claws? Dang it, dang it. You know what? Enough of this. Thank you for coming in and interrogating me about Super Nintendo World, Alex. I really hope.
Oh, for real. It's been...
Stop you! You stop it! Did you just say for real? I'm gonna have to put a leash on this guy.
That's a dog pun.
Some people do that with cats, but you're right. You're right.
We've got harnesses. They don't like them.
Yeah, yours probably do the same, but ours just like melt to the ground. They turn into a puddle.
Yeah, that's pretty typical. Cobweb doesn't mind.
Yeah.
I feel we're getting off topic even for us.
I suppose. You're right. You're right. Well, thanks for coming on and asking me some questions about Super Nintendo World. My final thoughts, I think, are...
Thank you for shedding some light.
Yeah, I do think, I will stress that if you're a big Mario fan, I think there's a lot of fun to be had here. Everybody else that I talked to seemed to enjoy the ride portions a lot more than me, so I don't know what my deal was there. It was way more special than I thought it would be, even for me, who is, I just can't wait for like a Zelda world to happen now. So, but we'll chat about that at a different time. Let us know in the comments below if you've been to Super Nintendo World already, if you have any tips for anybody that is planning to go, or anything you'd like to do on a second time. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, why don't you hit that subscribe button in hopes that maybe Nintendo Life will get its own theme park someday. What would we have? Would we have like an Alex there that is like in a box that can tell your future, read your fortune, and
I'll review the customers.
But
4 out of 10.
Once you put your money into the machine, Alex says, "Hello there, lovely people," in like a very robotic but still simultaneously Alex voice.
I'd just like to take different recordings, different takes, and chop them all together.
Oh no! I was like, cute. You want to have different takes to make it nice and organic for the viewer. No, I see. Okay.
I wanted to sound like, "Hello, Smithers. You're quite good at turning me on."
We may never get to actually make this happen in real life, but if you do subscribe to the channel, I will say it raises the chances only slightly. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you, Alex, for joining me for this chat. I do appreciate it a lot. I'm Zian from Nintendo Life. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.
Cat pun.
So many cat. I'm drowning in cat puns right now.